You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of truth. A dimension of freedom. A dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the Capitalist Corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner.
Welcome to the Capitalist Corner Monday edition. I'm your host, Michael Liebowitz, and Persephone is going to join me today for what is going to be an abbreviated show. Hold on one second. Just want to get this done. Okay. It's going to be an abbreviated show because, well, a few things. One, I'm exhausted. I've been up since basically 2 o'clock this morning. Two, I have a big debate coming up at 1 o'clock with Professor Michael Humer on the Objectivist ethics, and I would really like to have my mind fresh for that. There's a great episode right now, The Irrational Egoist, out with Jim Valiant on the virtue of honesty. Everyday ethics will not happen today because of the aforementioned debate, but crime, correction, and culture will happen at 3:15 p.m. Eastern time, and then starting tomorrow, everything will be back to normal. Persephone, how was your weekend?
Boring. I did nothing. It's cold.
We did our show, our new weekend show, the Capitalist Corner Weekends, when we discussed self-interest.
Oh, yes, that was really fun. And I read Inside the Criminal Mind, which we'll be discussing today.
Anna and I will be arguing for the Objectivist ethics. Michael Humer is an ethical intuitionist. You know, it's an interesting thing because, you know, one of the problems I had with the show is the way that people's minds work differently, right? My mind works in organizational steps. So you'll notice, Persephone, when you get the articles, they're usually sequenced. Because in my head, I've got the entire direction of the show planned out. Same thing with debate. So when I debate, I set the logical structure where the beginning, middle, end. What I want to cover, my possible responses, that sort of thing. Everything goes. What I learned this morning is I'm not capable of doing both very well at the same time. So while my mind right now is entirely oriented toward the debate, which makes it very difficult to focus here, nevertheless, I'm going to do my level best. One more piece of housekeeping for everybody. I had previously announced that I had been invited to speak at Rosie Ginsburg's The Irreducible Spark Conference in Texas. Irreplaceable Spark. I have since been disinvited. So I won't be there, just so you know. I just wanted to make it clear because I had advertised it. So I won't be there. So that's that. So the big news over the weekend was the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. So this guy, I guess they were having the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and this guy was outside. He never actually made it into the room where the president was. He fired shots. I think he shot a Secret Service officer in the hallway, but then he was apprehended and taken into custody. Turns out, and he has a manifesto. I didn't read the manifesto. I guess he's out to get members of the Trump administration, some of the conspiracy stuff in there, pedophiles, whatever. What I find, though, first of all, I mean, it's deplorable. I hate this stuff. I hate it for a lot of reasons, Persephone. One is because of the violence is just unnecessary. Two, because of what it brings out. And that's really what I want to talk about. So on my X feed over the last couple days, we've gotten Trump is a hero. He's amazing. Trump is a doofus. He fell down. Barack Obama came out and said, we don't know the motive of the shooter, despite the fact that the shooter has a manifesto. I'm just going to go over here and see some of the things that we've got here, some of the posts on X. Pathetic. This is from Call to Activism. Pathetic. Trump says he did not fall, but instead was asked by Secret Service to get down closer to the floor. Reality. Trump went down like an overweight 80-year-old salami. The saddest part, this is from Brendan Dilley. The saddest part about Trump derangement syndrome is that those affected by it genuinely have no clue who they're trying to harm and hate. May God have mercy on their souls. From Jonathan Turley, it is worth noting that the many Democratic leaders being protected last night by Secret Service agents are still refusing to pay them unless ICE and border protections are defunded. From James Lindsay, the left is the way they are primarily because they've maintained the friend-enemy distinction in politics for decades. Yes, it's only the left who has the friend-enemy distinction. Trump calls 60 Minutes host disgraceful for reading the suspects, manifesto. Barack Obama, that's that. So another weird thing that came out of this is all these MAGAs who are posted like at the same time on X about the need for a ballroom, which has led to the response with a lot of people joking. I saw the George W. Bush meme where the guy whispered in his ear about 9/11, and then he says, "We need a ballroom." So it's just absurd. So let me just say the rhetoric from the left when you used to call people Nazis and Hitler and whatnot is deplorable. But the right, when they come out and pretend like this is only a left-wing problem, like the president of the United States didn't, gleefully post about the death of an FBI agent or say a man was murdered because he had TDS, or constantly call his, people he disagrees with enemies of the people or communists or this or that. And they all feed into it as well. So I don't know, Persephone, if when Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, and the rest of the right-wing grift machine get out there and say it's just the left that do this, if they're lying or if they actually believe it. Thank you for the dollar for the $1.99 in pounds. Lee says, "I love you, Mike, and thank you for everything, my star." You are welcome. I forgot to mention the super stickers and super chats. Yes, we love them. We need them. We want them. So what are your thoughts on this, Persephone?
I think that there are a couple of different camps. There are like the grifters, the big ones, that I think that they genuinely know what they're doing. They know that they're grifting. They know that what they're saying is bullshit. But then you have what is equally as influential is the people who buy into this actually and repeat what they're hearing. And those ones, the ones with the smaller audiences, the ones who have genuinely fallen into this trap of believing the nonsense, they perpetuate the messages. And I think that they genuinely do believe a lot of what is said. So I think that it's a combination of the two. Some of them definitely know that they're spreading bullshit and they benefit from it, but the people who aren't receiving like actual monetary compensation, they're either buy into it wholeheartedly or they're receiving some other benefit from spreading the information. And I tend to think more that those smaller guys, they do buy into it. The people who are saying that Trump's a hero because he was, defending Melania, and the other one is a hero because he was shielding his wife with his body, and like saying what heroes they are, true like paragons of masculinity. There are some people who like genuinely buy into that and are spreading that, not because they're making any money off of it, because they genuinely believe that. They genuinely believe that their side are heroes, persecuted heroes.
Well, that's the other thing is I went through the Victim Olympics online where this is the most assassination attempts against any president, 3 against Donald Trump. Nobody ever tried to assassinate Clinton, Obama, or Biden. And then people bring up the evidence that there were attempts. But then you're going to get into what actually constitutes an attempt. Does the guy have to fire rounds? Does he have to be in proximity? Is it just a plan? I don't know, but there's always been nuts that want to do
Yeah.
this sort of thing. I don't doubt that the rhetoric helps lead to it. I just think that the idea that this left, I mean, that the left are the only ones that engage in the rhetoric. When I see these people online say this shit, it's so it irritates the hell out of me, because I'm a person, I like honest dialogue. I can disagree respectfully. That's fine, but I can't stand bullshit. And I really can't stand when people make money off bullshit. And so it's a frustrating thing, and it just seems to me that emotions rule the day, and I really don't see a way out of that.
No, I don't see a way either. So with this thing that happened, I've seen two things happening, both of which I find kind of detestable. One is the people saying, Trump is a hero because like they 3 assassination attempts. He's such a strong dude. Like, you're lying. This is bullshit, whatever. But then there's the other side that is talking about when his ear got shot and he looked all, he was quite manly in that moment. And then comparing it to another time that there was a shooter where he was like nervous, and they were going, look, this is proof that the other one was fake, because look how scared he is. And that I find equally as gross. So
Yeah,
both sides, left and right, are engaging in, they're not having intelligent conversations. They're just trying to do gotchas. They're trying to play on emotions. They're just saying whatever they can to sway people to their side. They don't give a shit about what the truth is. They just want to say whatever they can to get people to go, yeah, you're so right. Yeah, Trump's such a dick, or oh, Trump's such a hero. No black and white, no middle, I mean, no gray area, no middle ground. Just either he's a persecuted hero, or he's, a fake lying sack of shit.
So let's just go through this here. James Lindsay talks about the guy who did the shooting in his manifesto. Rudy Giuliani, the security outside the ballroom was so non-existent. He's upset about that. Adam Mockler. So First Lady Melania Trump says Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. So Adam Mockler then posed this, and with the question, is this your husband? And this, of course, is Donald Trump. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald J. Trump. So, then over here we've got, that's nonsense. Kevin Roberts, we need the ballroom and an overhaul at the Secret Service. Joel Berry, Trump should unleash a sweeping law enforcement crackdown on Reddit, Discord, and the networks of radicalization in the public education system that would make Biden's response to January 6th look like child's play. Okay, you fucking scumbag. Right? And I've seen a few of this morning where they're calling for social media censorship. Don't ever tell me, please, I swear to God, if one of these right-wing people tells me again about how Trump is for freedom of speech and how the right is for freedom of speech, it's a goddamn lie, right? It's just not true.
Yeah, you're free. You're free to share the ideas that we approve of. That's their idea of freedom of speech. You're free to share ideas that we believe. You're free to share ideas that have been pre-approved by the government.
Yeah.
That's their idea of free speech.
So then we got John. Just let me read this to you. John Galt, plumber. So he's going to throw in the John Galt thing. Capitalist. The Democratic Party is trying as hard as they can to fundamentally transform America when at least half of the American people oppose doing that. No, dude. I mean, not that the Democrats don't want to change the country, but the idea that the other half of the country is resisting in a way that would be anything describing, this guy's ideology, I presume, of being a capitalist is just BS. It's just not true. Then you have this Gunther Eagleman. Democrats have two pathways to explain away their vitriolic rhetoric. It's tough to, this is Kyle Becker, it's tough to even talk about how bad the Democratic Party is. Mark Levin, of course, here to kiss the ass of Trump. So, I mean, it's just, bye, Nicole. It just doesn't stop. Ian Gilmore's right. He says his leftist friends immediately jumped at the conspiracy theory stuff about being fake. So annoying. Yes, it is. It is a very annoying political climate in which we live. And there are those, I'm going to let you go in a second. I know I'm long-winded. There are those who will say that, well, this is just X. Okay, I'll grant that. But the president posts on Truth Social. That's the president of the United States. Those posts get shared on X, right? The richest man in the world, at least last time I knew, Elon Musk, posts on X. A lot of these influencers who have access to Trump post on X. So, I mean, it's not just, yes, it might be a small, a relatively minor percentage of Americans, but it's the Americans with the most energy, and that scares me. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But the thing is, it's not just X. It's not just X. It's X. It happens a lot, and it might be where it happens most, but it is not just X, because if you see any other social media site where people share their thoughts, any of these social media sites, it happens on X, it happens on Tumblr, it happens on Reddit, it happens on Discord, it happens wherever people are able to share ideas, they are sharing. Like, X happens to have probably a good split between left and right, whereas some of the other platforms obviously lean far more obviously in one direction.
I disagree with that. I think
You
X
think so?
is far more MAGA oriented. Yeah.
I'm gonna do some research, but anyway,
Do some research.
so I think that it happens everywhere, and if people are posting these opinions, it's because either they really genuinely hold them, or they have a reason for spreading them. That means that in their daily life, they either hold that opinion, or they are the type of person who is willing to spread that opinion. And that means something. The fact that they are willing to spread it, you can't divorce what they do on social media from what they do in their real life.
Ian Gilmore says Twitter has probably become more partisan as a good part of one side left for other platforms.
So, I mean, yes, there's a lot of other platforms that are more left-leaning. So, okay, so since 2001, the share of Republicans who view X as good for American democracy has risen from 17% to 58%. The share of Democrats who see the platform as good for democracy has dropped from 47% to 17%. Some studies suggest that after 2022, progressive users have moved towards other platforms, reducing their influence on X. So yes, they probably have moved to Threads or Blue Sky.
I don't use Threads, and I don't use Blue Sky, and maybe I should.
Yeah, good luck if you go on Threads. It's a horrible, X is bad. I don't like Twitter, but Threads is somehow even worse. I don't know how it's possible, but Threads is a nightmare.
Is it
place.
Really?
Yes.
So the question, I guess, becomes, what do you do about that, Persephone? Like, do you just not go? Like, Ian Gilmore says he refuses to use X, but it seems to me that if you don't go on X, you're cut off from a significant source of information. And what I mean is not that you're getting information about what's going on in the world as far as politics, although you do get some if you're careful and you look it up and double check it, triple check and whatnot. But you get information. Oh, he refuses to use the word X for Twitter. He calls it Twitter. Okay.
Yeah, I still call it Twitter as well. X is
fair enough. The problem for me is I've only been on this platform for a couple years, so it's not really a big deal for me. Okay, so you get information about trends in the country, about where energy is, and that's important information, but it is toxic. So what say you, Sephi?
So it's difficult because you do get sort of basic information about where the energy is. But if you go onto different platforms, you'll see different places where the energy is, because on X there are going to be people who are deeply invested in certain topics, but then on other platforms they're deeply invested in other topics and there's not as much. So it's really difficult. And if you had to expose yourself to all of these different things, I think that it would cause severe mental health issues for you if you had to just immerse yourself in this constantly.
Well, you ever see the movie Tombstone? Wyatt Earp, he's going to where the hell is it? Tombstone. And someone says to him, he's going to make money. And the guy says to him, I never knew a rich man who didn't end up with a guilty conscience. And Wyatt says, well, I already got the guilty conscience. I might as well have the money. You said if you are on this stuff, you're going to have mental health issues. Well, I've already got the mental health issues. I might as well have the information too, right?
Yeah. But it's also why I think that I can't say fixing the political issues, why addressing these things becomes much more difficult, because there are people who don't want to expose themselves to the toxicity of these different platforms where there's a lot of political talk happening for their mental health. So they step back for their mental health, and what ends up happening is the people who are making money, or the people who are already so deeply invested and toxic in their own way, they are the only people that remain, except for a few people like you. And on the other side of the aisle, there are a few people who, even if they hold different political views, I still think that they try to remain fairly impartial. There are a few people like that. But for the most part, what you have is really toxic personalities just spreading whatever helps their side. And the people who want to stay informed, they stay away from it because it's terrible for your mental health. It's terrible for your overall view of the world.
Jim Valiant and I, we did our episode yesterday, The Rational Egoist. It's out now on the virtue of honesty. And when I see these people that just post things that are obviously just not true, and maybe they're not intentionally lying, they just don't care. Because the thing is, even when it becomes obvious they were wrong, it's not like they come back and say, oh, my mistake, I was wrong. But I just can't imagine living my life that way, where truth was irrelevant to me, where I could just put anything out there and I'd be fine with it. I would collapse. I don't know how people do that. Even when even when I was a lying criminal, I didn't lie like that. Oh my God, just constant. It's just bullshit going out there, things that just aren't true, but they do it. And I don't like it. It's a very strange thing to me. Subby is the only one that has this problem with, I can hear Persephone loud and clear, but Mike's voice is a lot lower. Subby drives me crazy with that. Is anybody else having that problem?
I mean, it doesn't sound weird to me. So you know what I want to know.
The problem is, you know what? Let me tell you. Subby drives around on a tractor that's making a lot of noise, and then he blames me, and your voice is low. I
mean, that's fair. You should be blamed. It is your fault somehow.
He should get off the tractor.
I just don't understand.
Oh,
what
Ann
the-
M comes to Subby's rescue. Maybe I'm wrong. She says, I get what he's saying.
So people believe everything is a conspiracy. Some think nothing in our history can be trusted. Imagine thinking everything is false. I mean, so what I was going to say is I don't understand the end game for a lot of these people.
Money.
I
That's it. It's
but
money.
is I want money. I want to have I obviously like I want to make money. You couldn't pay me enough money to do what these people do.
I don't know what these people are agreeing to now or disagreeing. Ann M says I'm projecting. I don't know what I'm projecting. I don't know if, and maybe she's not talking to me. She could be talking to Jeanette. Jeanette says I do too. Jeanette earlier, when I asked if I was low, said no, but now she said I do too. So I
Yeah,
need some answers. I need answers. I want the truth.
Now you're projecting. So you're vocally projecting. So now your volume is fine. Yeah, I don't know. It's all just
Oh, I'm projecting my voice. I need to raise it. No, actually, I just reoriented my microphone. I went like this. Yo.
my microphone is here. I can just
Subby, just since you're here, Stella is really getting vicious toward the other dogs when it comes time to go outside, and I don't know what to do about it. FF Mormani with the 99-cent super sticker. FF, thank you very, very, very much.
Does Mike have ADHD?
I don't know. It's possible.
I don't think so.
There's never been a diagnosis. That much I can tell you. I'll tell you something. I'm going to tell you a little secret, Ian. I sometimes rapidly switch topics because I know it shocks people to see somebody do that. So I will bring up, I think that we all, for instance, people that I've met, when they're thinking, when they're talking, multiple thoughts cross your mind about different things. You get associations. You have a cup, and the cup might remind you the time you were in Brazil. When you were in Brazil, you saw a soccer player. The soccer player had a green hat. Your cousin has a green hat, so you think of your cousin, right? When that happens to me, I'll sometimes put it out there.
Oh no, maybe you do have ADHD. Because that's apparently a common thing with people with ADHD, is that their brains make weird associations, and apparently not everybody's brain works like that.
No, Ian says he's referring to I can't ignore the chat. I can. The problem is if you ignore the chat, then people get upset when you ignore the chat, and people like I've been told at least you're someone who doesn't ignore the chat. This type of thing will drive a person straight crazy. Let me tell you why, Persephone. I've done a lot of writing, and I've written something, and I'll have one person tell me, "Dude, that's way, way too complicated. It's going to go over everybody's head. People can't understand that type of stuff." Then somebody else reads it and tells me, "Dude, you dumbed this down way too much. You got to stop doing it." So when you come on the air like this, you got people that say, "Oh, you need to focus on the chat," and other people that say you need to ignore the chat. So I don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah, there is no way to make everybody happy.
No, there's not.
Because
so I'll just be happy for myself.
Yeah, different people want different things. The thing is, there are days when you look at the chat less, when you're having like an intense discussion with Mark or with James. Then you guys will you'll look less at the chat and you'll focus only on, what's highlighted in the private chat. And then there's some debates where you don't look at the chat at all. And then slower days like today, when it's less about like multiple deep dives into news stories, where it's more like a conversation. And then you do look at the chat.
Right. Take that, Ian. You told Ian. I think Ian and Persephone might have beef now. I don't know. Do we have a feud? Do we have a schism?
We don't. Just, you said that, and all I could think about was that 303 song that says, "Tell your boyfriend if he says he's got beef that I'm a vegetarian and I ain't fucking scared of him." That's all I could think when you said that.
I've never heard that, but that sounds like a weird song that I don't want to
It is a weird song. It's a weird song from a weird band. You've got 15 seconds to give the capitalist.
No. I don't have to go at 12:30 exactly. So I went to a petting zoo yesterday,
Oh,
and
I want to go to a petting
I
zoo.
found out pigs are like as smart as a 3-year-old kid.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that pigs were that smart. They're hideous, grotesque animals. Oh my
How can
God.
you say that?
Oh
Pigs are adorable.
no.
I mean, they will eat anything.
I'm
There
not
are good.
talking about the little pig. These things are huge.
Yes.
No, that's not adorable.
Big pigs are cute, but also vicious and are good ways to get rid of bodies because they
And
will eat anything.
and rolling around in their own feces and mud to cool down. No, I'm good. That's not cute. Nothing cute
I
about
think
it.
there's a spa that my friend and I go to like
A what?
once a spa.
Okay.
You know, a place where you get like massages and facials and stuff.
I know what it is.
Okay. Well, anyway, so there's one that we go to quite often, and there are two pigs that live there, and we go say hello to them every day. Well, every time that we're there. They're adorable. They're not
All right.
huge, but they're not tiny either.
No, I can eat pepperoni because well, I don't think about what it came from. But Brent for a long time wouldn't eat pork because he worked on a farm as a kid, and he said that the pigs were absolutely disgusting. He couldn't bring himself to eat pork.
Can I
All
tell
right.
every Wait,
Go
can
ahead.
I tell you you told your weird pork story. Can I tell everybody a weird fact about goat cheese?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so if for anybody who eats goat cheese, you know that goat cheese has a very specific flavor. It kind of tastes a bit like a goat smells.
Oh my
So
God.
it does. It's true. So for anybody who's interested, the more goaty a goat cheese tastes, so the more strong a goat cheese is, the less clean that animal that produced the cheese was. So if your goat cheese that you're eating tastes extremely strong, it means that that goat was filthy. Just so that everybody knows. If your goat cheese is very goaty, it means that that animal was disgusting.
All right. Well, thank you. Okay, I'm going to take off. We will be back tomorrow. I promise. 12 p.m. Eastern time. Mark may even appear on Wednesday. We will have a great show for you tomorrow because I will not be distracted at all. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Now, what is the capitalist thought of the? Well, I got to read from the other day the questions. Remember? Did you post the question, Seffi?
No, I forgot. I can't remember why I forgot. So this was on Just War Theory.
Yes. I don't
Yeah, by the
think.
time you get to YouTube, you might forget the question of the day. You should post the question of the day as the first comment. I will do that today. Then
Yeah.
some potential show topics. What is objectivity? Small o. How does one figure out what the objective truth is with real world examples?
These are on the thing.
These are comments. I'm just reading them.
Okay.
I don't.
We're not. Oh, that's potential show top. The question was, what should we do to win a war? Whatever it takes. You wouldn't want your soldiers to do barbaric things because of the trauma they would suffer themselves. Unless the enemy is fanatic of some kind that would require specific barbarity to defeat them. Uh, the core principle governing war is self-interest, full stop. Uh, Michael, I think your search for a single governing principle to guide actions in a war may reveal that one does not exist. Just war theory is unjust to the soldiers fighting. Jenna Kleem says, bah, war. Michael, I apologize. My comment in the chat accused you of lies. No worries, Jenna. Okay.
Saying you should do whatever is necessary is
Yeah.
not throwing out morality. It's a moral responsibility of a free country to conduct wars ruthlessly.
Yeah. Then Phil says,
Oh,
what
wait,
are you
that's a long
talking
comment.
about, Michael? Mark is correct. Rape has nothing to do with defeating your enemy. Seems like you're rationalizing how to demoralize the civilian population. I think that he got there a little bit later in the conversation, if that's what his takeaway was. That happens. All right. The capitalist thought of the day is, we need to be committed to truth. Fall for the grift, neither of the left nor right. Don't fall for propaganda. Pursue truth. Get the facts. Use your mind. And advocate for freedom. It's an abbreviated show, so it's an abbreviated capitalist thought of the day. Persephone, go ahead and take us out with a good question. Well, no, you're going to ask a question, then I'll take us out.
Oh, what's a good question? Um, oh no, I have zero questions.
Coffee or tea? Please go to
That's a
YouTube and answer the question. Do you prefer coffee or tea or
or some other
neither?
beverage entirely.
Or some other beverage entirely. All right, folks, thank you so much. Thanks for the super chat, super stickers. Thank you for tuning in and joining in the conversation. Even if it distracts me at times, that is fine. We will see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Time here in the Capitalist Corner. Please tune in today, 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time for Crime, Corrections, and Culture. We will be discussing Inside the Criminal Mind by Dr. Stanton Samanow. All right, folks, until tomorrow, please check your premises. Peace.